Do you know how much you pay in taxes and fees when you're buying or selling land in Kenya? Of course, every time you're buying or selling land, you have to pay some taxes and fees. And for the purposes of this video, we will be calculating how much taxes and fees you pay when you're buying land worth 2 million Kenya shillings in Kenya. So generally, when you're buying land in Kenya, you first have to pay a stamp duty, you have to pay for title search, then you also have to pay for Land and Control Board consent, you have to pay for the title deed transfer, you have to pay some valuation fee. On top of that, you may need a legal counsel or an agent so that you can buy land. So let's break down the taxes you pay when you're buying land worth 2 million. First, we have the stamp duty. Now, the stamp duty is levied on all documents that transfer ownership, for example, title deeds, and they vary in that if you're buying land in an urban place, say in a city or a major town in Kenya, then the stamp duty is 4% of the total cost of the land, and if you're buying it in a rural area, then that is 2%. Typically, the stamp duty is unavoidable, but if it's land transfer, say between spouses or kin, or when the land is for things like charitable organizations or religious purposes, then you don't have to pay stamp duty. So in our case, for 2 million, you have to pay, let's say you're buying land in an urban area, so you're going to pay 4% of 2 million, which is 80,000 Kenya shillings. Then you have the title search. So you have to pay to make sure that the title deed that you have actually belongs to that person. So for the title search, you have to get the title from the landowner, and then you go to 𝐓𝐴DHiSasa or 𝐬𝐶itizen, where you pay 500 Kenya shillings for title search. But then alternatively, according to the State Department for Lands, you can go to the land offices where you can do a manual search for the title deed for free. On top of that, you need clearance from the Land Control Board. Typically, this costs 1,000 Kenya shillings. But then if you want the process to be faster, you have to pay something extra. Then once the sale is completed, you have to pay for the title deed to be transferred to your name and registration fee. So for the registration fee, you pay 500 Kenya shillings. And then for the title to be processed, you have to pay 5,000 Kenya shillings. Then there's the valuation fee. Government valuation is mandatory and it is 500 Kenya shillings. But then you may need independent valuation, and the appraisal fee is usually 10,000 Kenya shillings. For fees such as the valuation fee, you need to be aware that it has withholding tax. And so if you hire a third-party valuer, that means that you're required to deduct 5% withholding tax from their payment. Now, you don't have to hire a lawyer or an agent for this process, but then it's important because you need the legal advice. And also to make sure that the processes are legal, like you need a lawyer. And if you're going to get a lawyer, then that means that you have to pay the lawyer some fee, which is usually 2% of the property value plus 16% VAT. So in the case of 2 million, if you hire a lawyer, you have to pay them a lawyer fee, which is 40,000 Kenya shillings, and VAT, which is 16%, which is 6,400. If you hire a real estate agent on top of that, typically their fee is usually 2 to 5% of the property value. And so in this case, let's say you pay 3% of the property value. So 3% of 2 million, that's 60,000 Kenya shillings. And then on top of the 60,000 Kenya shillings, you pay the 5%. So 5% of their fee, which is 60,000, that's 3,000 Kenya shillings. So in total, if you're buying land worth 2 million in Kenya, you pay a stamp duty of 80,000 Kenya shillings, title search 500 Kenya shillings, the LCB consent, which is 1,000 Kenya shillings. Then there's the title deed transfer, which is 5,500. There's the valuation fee at 10,500. That is if you get the individual and the government valuation. Then there's the legal fee, which is 46,400. Then the agent commission, which we calculated as 60,000 Kenya shillings. So in total, you'll be paying 203,900 in tax and fees if you're buying land worth 2 million. So on top of that, remember that if you're buying land, say in urban areas, most of the land in urban areas and towns in Kenya, you still have to pay an annual tax. So every year you'll be paying land rent to the Ministry of Lands and Physical Planning. So for leasehold land, every year you have to pay land rent to the ministry, and the amount you pay depends on the size and the location and the demand for that land. In the next video, we'll be looking into how much you pay in taxes and fees when you're selling land in Kenya. Money254.co.ke has written about this topic. Click on the link on our bio to learn more.